Hello everyone, and welcome back to welcome to Japan.jp. Today, we are diving deep into the single greatest travel hack of 2026. As you know, the Japanese yen recently hit historic lows, dropping into the 160 yen range against the US dollar. But while most tourists are focused on cheap sushi, the true savants are realizing something incredible. This currency shift has turned Tokyo into the undisputed global capital for secondhand shopping. And I'm not just talking about high-end vintage. From mega chains filled with pristine Rolexes to massive thrift warehouses overflowing with Y2K streetwear, retro gaming consoles, and designer clothing, Japan's used market is unlike anything else in the world. In this comprehensive masterclass, I'm going to teach you exactly how to navigate Japan's massive secondhand retail empires. We will break down exactly which chains to visit, from Komehyo to 2nd Street and Hard Off, and the insider hacks to guarantee you get the best quality for the lowest price. Let's get started. To understand why secondhand shopping is the ultimate move right now, you need to understand the macroeconomics of the 160 yen era. When currency fluctuates, global retail brands quickly raise their prices in Japan to prevent arbitrage. A brand new iPhone or a new Chanel bag will still be expensive. However, Japan's massive secondhand market is different. It is fueled by millions of local Japanese citizens selling their used items, and those items are priced to be sold to other locals earning Japanese salaries. The resale prices don't immediately spike to match the global dollar equivalent. This means that if you hold foreign currency, you are getting a double discount. You get the standard markdown of buying a used item, compounded by the immediate 20 to 30% discount of the incredibly weak yen. It's a rare economic window where buying used goods in Tokyo is basically free money, but cheap prices don't matter if the goods are trash. So why is Japan globally famous for its secondhand market? It comes down to condition and authenticity. If you've ever shopped in a thrift store in the US or Europe, you know items are often heavily worn. But in Japan, there is a deep cultural respect for craftsmanship and belongings. People here take meticulous care of their things. You will routinely find a 20-year-old camera, a designer wallet, or a rare jacket that looks like it was bought yesterday. Furthermore, Japanese consumers are famous for keeping the original packaging. You'll find secondhand items complete with original boxes, manuals, and authenticity cards. The baseline quality of a used item in Japan is light years ahead of what the rest of the world considers used. The second pillar is authenticity. Buying secondhand luxury online is terrifying because of superfakes. But Japan is the safest place on earth to buy used goods because of a strict legal framework called the Kobutsusho license. You cannot just open a thrift store, you must be licensed by the police. For the mega chains we are about to discuss, letting even one fake Rolex or fake Supreme hoodie slip onto their shelves is a catastrophic corporate risk that could shut down their entire business. Therefore, these companies employ armies of highly trained appraisers called Kanteishi, and they use AI scanners to verify everything. Plus, anyone selling an item to a store must provide government ID, completely destroying the anonymity that counterfeiters rely on. When you buy from a major Japanese chain, you are getting the real deal. Now that you know it's safe and high quality, where do you actually go? Let's start with high-end secondhand. When you want a Rolex watch, a Cartier bracelet, or an Hermes bag, you don't go to a dusty thrift shop. In areas like Ginza and Shinjuku, you will find what I call the mega luxury depots. These are massive, multi-story buildings entirely dedicated to secondhand luxury, run by huge, publicly traded corporations. You walk in, and it feels like a brightly lit premium department store. There is a directory. Floor 1 is bags, Floor 2 is jewelry, Floor 3 is watches. It is highly efficient, incredibly organized, and backed by massive corporate reliability. The two undisputed kings of this category are Komehyo and Daikokuya. Komehyo is practically an institution. Their flagship stores are breathtakingly huge. If you want a luxury watch, Komehyo is the best place to go because they have their own in-house watchmakers who service the pieces before they go on sale, and they offer incredibly robust corporate warranties. Daikokuya, which you can easily spot by their bright orange signs all over Tokyo, is another massive player. They operate as a hybrid pawn shop and luxury retailer, and they are excellent for hunting down specific designer bags or jewelry. Shopping at these chains gives you total peace of mind for very expensive purchases. The strategy for shopping at Komehyo or Daikokuya is all about scale. Because they process thousands of items daily, their pricing is tightly controlled by corporate databases and algorithms. This is a double-edged sword. It means you probably aren't going to find a miraculous, mispriced Cartier ring for 20 bucks. But more importantly, it means you will never get ripped off. You are paying exact, fair market value based on current supply and demand. And thanks to the weak yen, that fair market value is already 20 to 30% cheaper than what you'd pay back home. It takes all the stress and haggling out of buying luxury. Real quick, if you are looking for true vintage rather than just secondhand, meaning rare, discontinued archive pieces from the 80s and 90s, you need to visit Omotesando. This area has stores like Amore Vintage and Ku Tokyo. These aren't mass-market chains. They are curated boutiques that feel like art galleries, loved by overseas celebrities. You'll find pristine vintage Chanel with real 24-karat gold-plated hardware that they stopped making years ago. It's expensive and niche, but it's the holy grail hunting ground for serious fashion collectors. Let's switch gears. What if you aren't looking for a luxury watch, but you just want to build an incredible wardrobe of clothes, streetwear, and sneakers? Enter 2nd Street. This is arguably the most important name to remember for your trip. 2nd Street has over 800 locations across Japan, and they are the undisputed kings of used apparel. You will see their signs everywhere. They sell everything from cheap $5 fast fashion basics to incredibly rare Supreme hoodies and vintage Levi's. What makes 2nd Street so amazing is the organization. It's not a chaotic thrift bin. Clothes are meticulously sorted by men's, women's, style, and specifically by brand. If you want North Face jackets, there is a dedicated rack just for that. If you want to focus more heavily on designer labels and trendy fashion, you must visit Ragtag and TreFacStyle. Ragtag is brilliant if you are looking for Japanese avant-garde designers like Comme des Garçons, Yohji Yamamoto, or Undercover. The stores are gorgeously designed and feel like high-end boutiques, but the prices are standard secondhand. TreFacStyle, which is the apparel division of the massive Treasure Factory chain, is another fantastic option. They strike a great balance between affordable streetwear and popular domestic Japanese fashion brands. Spending an afternoon bouncing between 2nd Street, Ragtag, and TreFacStyle is the best way to completely upgrade your wardrobe on a budget. While the big corporate chains are amazing for reliability, if you crave the classic indie thrift experience, you have to visit the neighborhoods of Shimokitazawa and Koenji. These are the cultural epicenters of Tokyo's alternative youth fashion. Instead of big corporate megastores, you'll find narrow, winding alleys absolutely packed with hundreds of small, independent vintage shops. The air is filled with indie music, and racks of 90s Americana, band tees, and military surplus spill out onto the sidewalks. It's a much more chaotic, raw shopping experience, and it's an absolute must-visit for any fashion lover. When you are hunting for apparel, whether at a big chain or in Shimokitazawa, you need to understand the difference between curated vintage and raw thrifting. Curated shops have passionate owners who spent months sourcing the perfect faded denim jacket or rare graphic tee. You are paying a premium for their curation and taste. On the other hand, some stores operate on raw volume, where you literally dig through bins of clothes priced at $5 or $10. If you have the patience to dig, the sheer volume of high-quality clothes circulating in Tokyo means you will inevitably strike gold. It just takes effort. Now, let's talk about my favorite category: hobbies, electronics, and the suburbs. If you are willing to spend 30 to 45 minutes on a train traveling out of central Tokyo into prefectures like Saitama or Chiba, you will discover the mega warehouses. Why should you leave the city? 2 reasons. First, real estate is cheaper, so the baseline prices are often much lower to move massive volume. Second, the staff here are generalists processing thousands of diverse items daily. They aren't specialized appraisers. This means an obscure designer item or a rare camera lens might get slapped with a cheap price tag simply because they needed to clear shelf space. The suburbs are where the real treasure hunters go. The undisputed rulers of the suburban treasure hunt are the off stores, specifically Hard Off and Book Off Super Bazaar. Hard Off is legendary worldwide among geeks and musicians. It focuses on hardware. You will find aisles of vintage film cameras, incredible deals on Japanese guitars like Fenders and Ibanez, synthesizers, and massive sections dedicated to retro gaming consoles like the Super Famicom and PlayStation. Then there is the Book Off Super Bazaar. Do not let the name fool you, they sell way more than books. These are colossal warehouses that buy and sell literally everything. You will find rows of anime figures next to surfboards, which are next to racks of thousands of used jackets. It is overwhelming, glorious chaos. If you visit a Hard Off, you must check out the legendary junk corner. It sounds bad, but in Japan, junk often just means untested. If a store doesn't have the time or the specific cable to test an old Nintendo or a camera lens, they throw it in a blue plastic bin and sell it for literally pennies. Very often, these items work perfectly fine. They just needed a new battery or a quick cleaning. It's a massive gamble, but it's incredibly fun, and the payoff can be huge if you know what you are looking at. Okay, to wrap up this masterclass, I want to give you 3 practical hacks for when you actually hit the stores. First, understand the condition ranking system. Every price tag in a Japanese secondhand store will have a letter on it. S, A, B, or C. S or N means it is essentially brand new, unused. A means excellent condition with maybe microscopic signs of use. B means normal wear and tear, like a light scratch. And C means heavy wear or damage. Remember what we said earlier. The Japanese grading standard is incredibly harsh. They will grade an item a B for flaws you can barely see with the naked eye. Which leads me to hack number 2, my biggest pro tip. Always hunt for B-rank items. Because the local Japanese consumers are so picky and demand pristine S and A rank goods, the B-rank items suffer a significant price drop. But structurally, they are perfectly sound and usually look beautiful. A Japanese B-rank bag would easily be sold as excellent condition on a Western resale site like The Real Real. You get a massive discount for a tiny flaw that you probably wouldn't have even noticed. If you want the absolute best price-to-quality ratio, B-rank is the sweet spot. Hack number 3, tax-free shopping. As a foreign tourist, you are legally exempt from paying Japan's 10% consumption tax. 10% off a $1,000 camera is a big deal. You just need to spend a minimum of 5,000 yen, which is only around 30 bucks, at a single store on the same day. And unlike Europe where you wait in a miserable line at the airport for a refund, in Japan, the 10% is deducted immediately at the cash register. You pay the lower price right then and there. But you have to follow one very important rule. You must have your physical passport with you. A photo of your passport on your phone will not work. A photocopy will not work. Many stores, including chains like Second Street and Hard Off, still legally require the physical passport book to flip through the pages and find your temporary visitor entry stamp. If you find an incredible deal but left your passport in the hotel safe, they cannot give you the 10% discount. It's heartbreaking. Keep your passport secure, but keep it on you when you shop. And there you have it, the ultimate masterclass to navigating Japan's massive secondhand retail empire in the 160 yen era. From the luxury mega depots of Komehyo to the apparel thrifting at 2nd Street, all the way to the suburban treasure hunts at Hard Off, Tokyo offers an unparalleled shopping experience. If you found this guide helpful, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with anyone planning a trip to Japan soon. For a full written breakdown of everything we discussed, including an interactive quiz to test your new shopping knowledge, head over to our website at welcometojapan.jp. Good luck out there, happy hunting, and I will see you in Tokyo.